Hello and welcome. We are on. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties here today. Sorry on the program. And we could not, for some odd reason, broadcast. It took us a few minutes to do so. We had to reboot the system. Sorry about that. Alright, so here today, we have a great show on tap for you. All NFL for this hour and a half program. We're going to have J.P. Pelsman on the program. J.P. Pelsman. He's a staff writer for The Record in New Jersey. He's been covering the Jets this entire year. He knows a lot about the Jets. You can follow the guy on Twitter. You can follow the writer on Twitter, I believe, I'll find the Twitter for you, at JP Pelsman, at capital JP, P, and then lowercase Elsman. So you can follow him there on the program. So we'll have him in 25 minutes, but I want to get to some NFL scores, and then I'll give you my reaction to some of the big games today, and then we'll get Pelsman's thoughts for the Jets and Texans Monday night. I'll give you my Sunday night prediction. I'll give you Sunday night updates. So we have everything you need to know. We have you covered wall to wall. So let me give you the scores for today's Week 5. Today's Week 5, actually light scoring, only 50 touchdowns so far over this Week 5 Sunday. Today in Week 5, here were the scores for today. Miami, they face Cincinnati today. They came up huge. Ryan Tannehill, 17-13 victory against the Bengals. Now, the next one we're going to go to, Indianapolis and Green Bay. Chuck Pagano missed battling leukemia at a local hospital in Indianapolis, and a very inspired Colts team gets the victory 30-27. They did it for Chuck. An emotional post-game speech by Bill Polian, the owner of the Colts, and Bruce Arians filled in today. He is normally the interim head coach, but when the head coach goes down, he steps up as the head coach, and their offense beats Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Now, a game that really had no offense. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens in a dogfight, in a street fight, 9-6. Ravens get the victory there. Kansas City at home, they had the running game going, but the passing game wasn't there. It was such a bad day that even the fans performed an act that Eric Winston, the offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs, was puzzled by and disgusted by and, quote, sickened by. Yes, the Kansas City Chiefs fans cheered when Matt Castle got injured in today's ball game. More on that later on in the program. Giants, Browns. Giants, they were struggling early on. Turnovers hurt. Big pass by Brandon Whedon for a touchdown early on. 14-0 on the get-go, but that's not enough to beat the defending champions on the road at the New Meadowlands. Giants win there 41-27. Now, the Battle of Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh and Philly. Philadelphia coming in after a really awful loss against the Arizona Cardinals. Pittsburgh, they come in at home at Heinz Field. They win by 2 in a very sluggish offensive game. This was, in general, a sluggish offensive week. let's go to another game. This game, very scary, both for Atlanta and for Washington especially. Robert Griffin III knocked out of the ball game. Reported rib injury. We still need to find out more about that. We haven't got enough information about that yet. But Atlanta, they escape on the road in Washington. Michael Turner seals the game 24-17 on a 13-yard touchdown scamper for Turner. On the other hand, Jacksonville, one of the late games in the afternoon, struggled. It was awful in Jacksonville. They couldn't get anything done offensively. On the other hand, the team that they faced, Chicago, after a big Monday night win on the road against Dallas, they come up huge. Their defense comes up huge. Lance Briggs, his second interception, returned for a touchdown. The second week in a row for Lance Briggs. They win there 41-3 in Jacksonville. Minnesota, they again, another NFC North win, this time for Minnesota. They advance, yes, with a second-year quarterback, a young head coach, and a young defense. They are 4-1 in the NFC North, and they lead the NFC North with the best record. Yes, the Minnesota Vikings. We'll talk about them and their success in the National Football League. They won today against the Tennessee Titans 30-7. Now, the game of the week, the game that everyone wanted to see. Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady. 13th matchup, this time in Foxborough. New England took control the entire ball game, gave up a few late touchdowns at the end in the fourth quarter, almost let the lead slip away, but they hang on 31 and to 21, Denver loses. And yes, I would not say this a lot, but New England's running game propels them to a high offensive input today. Another team with a high running game, offensive input today. The passing game was so good. The running game was so good. They broke records today. Yes, the San Francisco 49ers. They put up a 45-burger. They win against the Buffalo Bills at home 45-3. So, those are the scores for Week 5 of the NFL season. I want to get to the game that was talked about in the early session between the Colts and the Green Bay Packers. Today, the Indianapolis Colts kept it very close. Andrew Luck played superb football. They really ran the ball effectively. Their defense was great in the second half. Sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times during the course of the game. And let me tell you about this. The Indianapolis Colts really showed what they could be in the future. This could be a really dangerous team. They came in there, and I know Green Bay's struggling, and I know it was at home, and I know it was in good conditions, and I know they were doing it for Chuck, but they played convincing football today. Very convincing football. Extremely impressed by Luck's poise, and I have to say, this defense made the plays that mattered most. Luck, very poised, as I said before. He really, took what the defense gave him today And I really commend the Indianapolis Colts getting the victory here. And I hope Chuck Pagano, who's the head coach for the Indianapolis Colts, I hope he's fine today, because it has been really, really emotional, especially for Chuck Pagano. And the guy has been extremely great, and he's really had to battle through a very tough process. And you know what? His team did it for him. It showed the team's ability to fight through, when everything's down, when everything's, not supposed to, is not going your way. You're without Chuck. You're going with Bruce Arians, who's a really good offensive mind, but yet again, he's not really put in this position. Short notice, tough, gutty victory. Credit to Indianapolis. Really surprised by the way the Green Bay Packers have played, especially the Packers' offensive line. I am really stunned at how the Green Bay Packers have fallen short yet again and again and again and again. And as a Packer fan and as an NFL fan, people need to stop making excuses in regards to the Green Bay Packers. I know they lost in Seattle, but they should have never been in that position. They come in here against a team that they should have beaten by a mile, and they can't get the victory here today. I am really surprised that they can't come in here and get this victory. And these are controlled conditions. Weather isn't affecting them, and they can't get it done. They can't get it done. Awful. That's awful for you to not get it done. Now, they got it done against a New Orleans team, and they barely beat them by one last week. I don't see this team as a playoff team. They really, to me, I know that's surprising, but they've got a lot of work to do. And I know their record's kind of manageable, 2-3. They can still get in the playoffs. It's not like it's the end of the world. But still, you can't come in there and stink up the joint like they did and not have any offensive line protection for one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and that defense against a rookie quarterback can't come up with the stops at the end of the game on that last drive. Really stunning, really shocked. This team has a lot to work on. And another team that has a lot to work on is, yes, the Cincinnati Bengals. Ryan Tannehill ripped them apart today. He had some big throws today. Won the Brian Hartline on the sideline. He made some big critical plays today. And the Bengals offense was a little out of sync. I didn't see what was needed for the Bengals to get the victory here. I felt like too many mistakes that were unnecessary, and it really comes back to bite them. And maybe you could call it a sophomore slump for this young squad and Andy Dalton and company, but I still think this team has enough talent to be successful. They need to come back and realize their mistakes and come back and capitalize next week. Another team that really needs to capitalize next week, Kansas City. They fall today 9-6. No touchdowns at all. Matt Castle was injured today. Really not that great for Kansas City. And sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. The audio got in the way. But Baltimore, they come in very sluggish. Look, they did well in the ground game. Offensive passing wasn't that good. Turnovers all over the place. And they come in there and absolutely... I'm stunned that Kansas City didn't win this football game. They had opportunity after opportunity. I mean, Matt Castle at the one. And I feel really bad for Matt Castle. He got scrutinized by the fans today. the Chiefs faithful were really, really immature